Kanakitpehi, and welcome to Swangan. I'm your host, Dennis Allen. In this last of our Jamboree series, producer Dave Stewart traveled to Ulukaktuk, formerly Holman, to take in the Kingalig Jamboree. Dave had a really good time there, and we hope you do too as well. Welcome to Swangan, our strength, right here on APTN.
Welcome to Ulukaktuk, the Kingalig Jamboree, and I'm Adele Okana. In Ulukaktuk, people are very friendly. They're really, what you call it, like outgoing people. The things I enjoy most is the people coming from other communities and the gathering of the people up here and to play some games. I think this is the best year for Jamboree. It's fun.
My name is David Gupta from Ulukaktuk. I work with the Special Events Committee. It's a good time of the year for it's nice and warm, and we like to get together and have fun, eat and hunting together, and it's nice out, and we like to have it every June. I like to help people, and people get to know more about other people that come into the community and make more friends, and that's how we always have it. So I like volunteering and helping out. I do that a lot. I like to keep people happy. I'm a joker. I like to joke around. I like to tease people and keep them happy and help them out a lot. And I do a lot of joking and singing, and I love it.
1 potato, 2 potato, 3 potato, 4, 4. Honks. Oh yeah. Are we ready? Knife down.
Knife.
Oh, Kenny.
You're backwards.
What?
Where you're going backwards.
Huh? Oh, really? Don't. No wonder you. Kenny. Go. I did it. Lots of fun, eh?
Hello, Cafe Inuit Damaita, Homelaka, Obanga Mali Ulikdog, Ulukakdog Miutauyunga, Kingalig Jamboree, Kunit Havaktunga.
Need first the bags, the garbage bag.
Tenderize it first a little bit?
Just stretch it out and make sure that you're going to pluck it right off the skin.
Massage it first.
It's part of our culture, and we've been carrying it on from generation to generation, from jamboree to jamboree. So that's why we have all these cultural events like the duck plucking, the fish filleting, the seal skinning, the bannock making, tea boiling. It's always been in our culture, so we try to keep it going through the jamboree weekend. I think it's important to feature them so that we pass them on to the younger generations and that they're kept alive and carried on throughout from year to year.
Right here.
Gotta be 18 and over. You girls sing a song.
Get one of its wings. Lover. I'm gonna kick you.
She started.
Be nice. You can't see, okay?
Second and third.
He would let two leg finger out. First, second, and third. When it's finished, you make sure you plug it good. When it's finished, you lift it up. Okay? 1, 2, 3, go!
Pamahimayo na Ali, nalagtok. They're just tearing. Ayaw na mahimala. They just tear. Damat ko na. Aliktok. Aliktok ko may nak. On the wrong side.
Need tweezers.
I can't.
Anybody brought meat?
Hey, right to the head or to the neck?
Are you still some in your mouth?
You lost it?
How's it going, Laverne?
Not good.
Now they need us. Mary, you're done, you said.
Yeah.
Annie, Mary, and Judy.
I'm slow, look at.
Yeah. Kaya kumahimaga kami.
When we come back, more from the Kingalig Jamboree in Ulakaktuk. You're watching Swangan, Our Strength, right here on APTN. Welcome back to Swangan, Our Strength, and more from Ulakaktuk and the Kingalig Jamboree right here on APTN.
We try to get a mixture of all three, like the elders, the adults, and the youth. That's why we have some competitions where they have to have an elder, an adult, and a youth.
Hey, so what do we got here? I see some fish on the ground. What's down there?
Seals and ducks.
Oh, yeah? What kind of fish are those? Do you know what kind they are?
Char.
Ah. What are they going to do with those?
Hot dog.
Yeah?
Reese. I can see.
How do they do it? How do they do it?
You could watch and see.
Have you ever cleaned a seal before?
Yeah?
Really? Is it tough work?
Not really.
When the men's finish, the lady's gonna flush it. When the ladies finish flushing it, the kids are going to wash it and then pin it down. Okay?
Yeah, I heard you did.
Right here. That's a good one. All your pins are all set?
These ones should move off the way.
Your kids move off the way because they're going to run over there and you're going to get full of oil.
Get ready. Get set. Go.
Uutag me naar hem.
Utak may mayong naksutan.
Really burn. Gebrang in de milk. Here we go. This is real burn in the back.
Yeah.
Better take it easy with that when you are flushing it.
Honey, really keep up the seals. Really stink.
You guys get ready to move back because they're going to run through for washing the seals. Dan beginnen we hier naar de kamer.
Holy cow.
Lucas, move back, move back.
Kayang nakpiyak to.
Dan mag je op kamer. Dan moet ik hem niet tegen krijgen. Dan mag je. Dan heb je gezien.
I can't cut through this because it's really burns.
Dan moet ik er daar. Je kijkt thema. Goed. The seal skin is real burnt from the sun. You know, the skin, it's real hard to clean out right now.
How do you get burned?
From the sun. From the sun. The guy saw it and then I put something over it. And yeah, it's burned, huh?
Come on.
Thank you.
Way to go, Dylan.
Oh, wacht.
Come on, Mom. Almost done. Don't panic. Don't panic. Watch out. Watch your flashes, my girl.
You can do it.
All the skinners, I think they did pretty good. Very good. Had a good time. I come in first skinning, and flushing I think is third. More on that.
What was the hardest part?
Eh?
What was the hardest part, you think?
I don't know. I know nothing about that because I done it all the time and you know, skinning seals out. I don't know what is the hard part to me. Okay.
When we come back, more from the Kingalik Jamboree in Ulakaktuk. You're watching Swangan, Our Strength, right here on APTN. Welcome back to Swangan, Our Strength, and more from Ulakaktuk and the Kingalik Jamboree right here on APTN.
Ready? 1, 2, 3, go!
Oh, geez. Come on, I got it. Give me the pot. What you got? Gee, they're hard to see. Come up here.
This was Donald and Annie. Donald and Annie's got 5.
Me and Adele only got 4.
Okay, Junior and Adele 4.
I don't know why I never counted mine.
Some of them were so tiny they look like half.
Alice and Molly got 11.
One,
Oh.
32 for me and Sarah.
32.
32 for Sarah.
Stay over here, my girl. Look right here, baby girl.
Long drive is to get a golf ball and a golf club and see who can shoot the farthest.
How do you measure how far it goes?
Well, just look at just to see how far we go the farthest.
Okay.
That's how in well we measure it. I'd be happy if I passed the Ross. Native food is always delicious.
So how are you measuring those distances? Just by farthest?
There's markers.
Oh, you got markers?
Yes. Those are the markers.
All right. That's great.
My ribs. You ready to catch it, Larry? Let's go, G. Let's go.
better luck to the hunters next year.
Their ducks were behind
Ducks
her.
are
They were smart.
good eyes, Mona.
Well, that was our show for this week. We hope you enjoyed it. Here's one more tune from Jasper Andreessen and the Beaufort Sea Boys. Until next time, I'm your host, Dennis Allen. Kuyanak.
Ublumi nakuyumi, kovianak tusi takuna gapsi, una ukium sivulinga takuna leaptingnik tamaptakun, uvanga Beverly Amos. Ublok takunang niak tusi, piuyak mata, 2005 Muskrat Jamboree inuving me. Ilagi niaribut kinrakamata niritin natik tamani Midnight Sun Recreation Complex me. Ukwak innak kinrakniak toak, inuveluktun, itkilitun lo.
Quase
Nirip kayot piyuyakvet aw lakit karman. Inugyak tot takunak tot ubani. Nirip kay mate nekivelung nik nunaptingnin. Ikayok tot inuvyo maskrad jamboree piyuyakvenun. Sabavelok simayot sa nairutik sanun. Takuyavut uba nirivit sa nayak matkit niritin natik.
Vago inyuwium hibun niok taranga Peter Clarkson mit atilik koinai ni koinaktuhi ilifi maungai nyuwing mun cikumi ale sayak to akhafi vago mani nyui ilagi tot ilamaurai kutinglo nakilakha nunamin tat hawangamin luni una ale hugirvik nakuro peaktok amiki ikayo Tigik para hunting tap kwalu ikayok tigik para urot Roy, Jerry, Veronica, and Deloislo. Hinyu ko hanayak tigit ikayok tigit pira para hin khweg para bot ukot hanaya routing it.
In now but trip pag-ivelop kibot. Simon na nikulik pisuyot subol utilita. Tayo maasin alat nirisuptot nirilayot mamaktumit na kitingit. Niriswekto ni sirlanit nirinaktok mamaktok. Takutay nakakut giliyong at 2005 Masquerade Jamboree Piyak Veni. Kuk pang mutin niaripsi inuving mi, Piyak Tonic Masquerade Jamboree mi takun nakublusi.
And here they go.
And on the first corner comes Larry. There they go, first thing. And there they are. They open her up. Oh, we have a wiper. And here comes Larry. And all we can hope for is a blowout. And
there we go. We have our winners. Larry. And second is
1, 2, 3, go!
Holy japers! Right on, way to go!
I said get set. 1, 2, 3, go! Go, 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 go! Oh,
Ready, go for it.
Kang maasin takun nang niariwut kilaw siyak dot Midnight Sun Recreation Complex me.
Whatever. This is Brian Rogers. Next one is Abel Klingnak, Hal Wiley, Albert Elias, Marty Kasut. I can't see back there, that's Mr. Mayor.
Aular nasi, tamapta utipsar nermeyok APTN kun 2005 Muskrat Jamboree Biuyak Mata. Asi takun napsar migapsi 2005 Muskrat Jamboree Biuyak Mata. Ukot putugu umiyot takun nagluwit. rupta takun nangyari wut ilaw yot atok tuani uwuna APTN kun. Kuvianak tusi uterapsi tamaptamon. Ukuadasin atok tuat takun naglugit.
Table for two, 'cause he's already out on the floor. I think about something that my mama used to.
Hello everybody. Are we enjoying the Mascot Jamboree? I'll invite you all to talk next weekend. Beluga Jamboree. The song I'm going to be singing is by Patty Loveless, and this is dedicated to my good friend Anna Pingo, all the way in Saskatchewan. She's a teacher now, so this is, she learned me this song, so this is for her.
You've come to tell me something. You say I ought to know. You don't love me anymore, and I have to let him go. You say you're gonna take him, but I don't think you can, 'cause you ain't woman enough.
Kang maasin takun nangyari wut innalat atok mata. Nakugigupsyong nakuyok.
I had the invitation that you sent me. You wanted me to see you change your name. I couldn't stand to see you wedding others. But You're happy, jealous, alone. That's where I would be. 'Cause I'm home. That teardrop in her pennies, I'm hard to home.
Someday, some way, somehow, I'm gonna keep it a secret for now. I have bells to ring, a choir to sing, a white dress to guess the king. There are a whole lot men, and no one needs to know right now. I'll tell you someday, some way, somehow. I'm gonna keep it a secret for now. We'll have a little girl.
As he's hanging down the aisle, and with all his country charm, he addressed her with a song. Would you catch a falling star before it crashes to the ground? Don't you know how people are? Nobody loves you when you're down. You're knocking on the door, pretty woman everywhere. Would you catch a falling star? Would you catch a falling star? Little silver painted bug. So baby, let's tie the diamond ring, faded jeans and gold. This coat is time choking me. High society, I cry all day. We've been so busy keeping up with the Jones. Four-car garage and we're still building on. Maybe it's time we drop to the basics of life. Let's go to Looking Back, Texas, Waylon and Willie and the Blues.
Alian ay usuk toa si ka takun na liap tingnik. Uwanga Beverly Amos tamaptamon. Ilan nilo.
Just another purple, nothing left to lose, and nothing is good if ain't free. And feeling good was easy, Lord, when Bobby sang the blues. Yeah, feeling good was good enough for me. Good enough for me and my Bobby McGee.
Kanagitpehi and welcome to Swangan. I'm your host, Dennis Allen. Last week we brought you the 2006 Mad Trapper Rendezvous from McClavic. People came from all across the Delta to celebrate spring. This week we'll carry on with the Jamboree circuit. The Muskrat Jamboree in Inuvik celebrates the coming of spring and muskrat trapping season. In the old days, people got together at Easter to celebrate. Welcome to Swangan, our strength, right here on APTN.
Jeffrey's going to be our official timer. Okay? Anytime you're ready, Jerry. Talk to Jeff. Jeff will let you know. Here we go, the women's log sign competition on. Come on, Jerry. Yeah, use the whole saw blade. Utilize the whole thing. You like a whole timer along there.
Yeah, you're getting there now. Yeah.
When you jump in log sign, you let the saw do the work. You do not press too hard. And you utilize the whole saw blade. Come on, Jerry. Just about there.
Yeah.
It's going to drop pretty soon, Jerry. It's going to drop. You do it over there. Oh, my God. There it is. Way to go, Jerry. Up next we have Mary Louise.
I know! It's my wanted to.
Everybody's doing the same song. You just complain or whatever you want to do about that song. Everybody's doing the same one. Just about there, bud. Home strip. Home strip. It's going to drop pretty soon. It's going to drop. There, way to go, Barb.
First year racing here?
No.
Okay.
Oh, I've raced there before. I live here, so.
Expecting to win? Or place?
Hopefully.
Yeah.
This year I raced in Wyoming and in Colorado, and then I raced in Fort McPherson last weekend, and this one.
How's it going so far? Pretty good?
Yeah, not bad. We were third last weekend in McPherson.
The dogs are ready today?
Oh yeah, they
Sound
want to
like
go.
it,
Yeah.
They obviously know what's going on, eh?
Oh yeah. Yeah.
We're going to go all the way down to that open lake. You don't have to gene anywhere. I'll be following behind you guys with my skidoo. We're doing a 20-mile open class race today, and they're going to be going all the way down the river till about probably about 9.5 miles out. They're going to hit that open lake way down there. They're going to go around in the lake and then come back out on the river, and then they're going to work their way back home. There's one trail out and one trail home. And then tomorrow we're going to have the women's dog team race with the toboggan, the very first annual. That's going to be happening tomorrow. And as you can see, we've got some really nice weather, and I think it's going to be just really nice for the dogs to be running today. We got 5 teams right here lined up.
What's first prize today?
First prize, $2,000. So 20 miles long, it's $2,000, about $100 a mile. That's not bad.
Hey, how does it feel? Is it cold?
Coming back, yeah.
Yeah. What you gonna do with the money?
Buy about 6 dogs. No, I'm just kidding.
You got a time for that first?
I think they were about an hour and 17 minutes in that area, approximately anyways. And that's not bad today. I think second place was probably not any more than a minute and a half behind, eh?
Okay, come on, Erwin.
When we come back, more from the 2006 Muskrat Jamboree in Inuvik. You're watching Swangan Our Strength right here on APTN. Welcome back to Swangan Our Strength and more from the 2006 Muskrat Jamboree in Inuvik, right here on APTN.
We need some more entries for the adult category for the drum dancing. If you don't know how, just jump in anyway. It's not hard to do. We'll give you some lessons up here, okay? Our drum dancing was a way of celebration of life. We used to do this quite often when we have peace or we have get together. We take out the drum and we do some motion dances. And this has been going on forever. They used to travel along the coastline. When they meet somebody, they go in igloo, take out the drums and start dancing. Usually there's only about 4 or 5 of them. They take out the drums and start doing the traditional dance. Sometimes they're so happy to see each other, they can go on all night. Here he is, folks, Dale Rogers doing some kind of goose step. Cheer him on, folks, cheer him on. Way to go, Dan! Woo-hoo! Here's Alina Carpenter.
stand.
Way to go, Blair. Way to go. Way to go, Janika. Way to go, Francis.
That was the drum dancing competition at the Muskrat Jamboree. When we come back, more action from spring 2006. You're watching Swang on Our Strength right here on APTN. Welcome back to Swang on Our Strength and more from the 2006 Muskrat Jamboree in Inuvik, right here on APTN.
Okay, start your time in the winner trial. Hey, Roy, come on over. You need to go over.
These guys are running that stay out of their way. And have a hold it. $3 each, or 2 for $5, $3 each, 2 for $5. Pick them up at over at the Muskrat Jamboree Shack. Okay, we got fires going. Come and grab your water to the tea bag. Should be very shortly here. We're going to have some tea, folks. Don't put your tea bag in there until the water's boiling. Your timers, make sure that the water's boiling first, okay? We want to watch that stuff just jumping out of the pot. Second place is Leon Simon. Third place is Mariah Turkey. Next to him is Richard Samuel. And then
definitely got a big fire going. I think there are books over there. I think there's a bunch of flames over that side. I see some smoke over here. Have a look around. Make sure we check it out. We're making some really, really good cup of tea.
Get me wood, you guys!
Coming up. Daniel's working on some fire. Make sure the water's boiling, you guys. Make sure the water's got seasoning in there.
Hey, mine's boiling, man.
Make sure that water's boiling.
Hey, it's boiling.
Really hard to drink hot raw tea. Leave them there. Oh, we got one over there, right? Okay, let's clean up the flames now. Got some flames going here. Got some tea being boiled. There you go. Sweet guys, sweet cups of tea. Lots of tea over here. Have some tea. Not bad tea. Pretty good.
Okay, you guys ready? 1, 2, 3, go. Eunice is the oldest one there by about a year. So I'm going to be praying for Eunice and Sarah. I don't know what you guys. And all the kids, don't start climbing around the fire, okay? You could get burnt. Yeah, we got a couple of young boys over here trying to feel out that four-wheeler already. They think they want it already. Look at that, 85 unit Metro still cracking wood with the knee there. Holy smoke.
They're really good at that. Next year we're going to give him a pacemaker. He's getting too excited all the time right there. We need some more matches. The Keep Oiling contest is sponsored by the Eddie Match Company Limited. Co-sponsored by Eddie Match and Salada Tea Company. Red Rose Tea, I mean, oh, who really needs Canada, eh? The water has to be boiling and then you put your tea bag in it, okay? Oh, we got a winner? Somebody brought tea already. Come on, Eunice and Sarah. Come on, my golden girls. Come on, baby. Let's have fun. You have a chance to win that mini four-wheeler. You don't have to go home and say, oh, last I should have bought my ticket for that mini four-wheeler. My grandson would have been driving around. Here, you don't burn out to spend your $10 on hamburgers and food over there. Come over here and buy a mini four-wheeler. For next year. Come on over and have some good cup of tea, folks. There's lots of tea here.
Kanakitpehi, and welcome to Swangan. I'm your host, Dennis Allen. In this last of our Jamboree series, producer Dave Stewart traveled to Ulukaktuk, formerly Holman, to take in the Kingalig Jamboree. Dave had a really good time there, and we hope you do too as well. Welcome to Swangan, our strength, right here on APTN.
Welcome to Ulukaktok, the Kingalig Jamboree, and I'm Adele Okena. In Ulukaktok, people are very friendly. They're really, what you call it, like outgoing people. The things I enjoy most is the people coming from other communities and the gathering of the people up here and to play some games. I think this is the best year for Jamboree. It's fun.
My name is David Gupta from Ulukaktok. I work with the Special Events Committee. It's a good time of the year for it's nice and warm, and we like to get together and have fun, eat and hunting together, and it's nice out, and you know, we like to have it every June. I like to help people, and people get to know more about other people that come into the community and make more friends, and that's how we always have it. So I like volunteering and helping out. I do that a lot. I like to keep people happy. I'm a joker. I like to joke around. I like to tease people and keep them happy, and you know, help them out a lot. And I do a lot of joking and singing, and I love it.
1 potato, 2 potato, 3 potato, 4, 4. Honks. Oh yeah. Are we ready?
What?
Knives down.
Oh, knife?
Oh, Kenny.
You're backwards.
Huh?
Where you're going backwards.
Huh? Oh, really dumb. No wonder you. Kenny. No.
Lots of fun, eh?
Halo kafe Inuit damaita humeleka ubanga mali ulikdok ulukakdok miutawyunga Kingalik Jamboree kunit havaktunga.
Need first the bags, the garbage bag.
Tenderize it first a little bit?
Just stretch it out and make sure that you're going to pluck it right off the skin.
Massage it first.
It's part of our culture and we've been carrying it on from generation to generation, from jamboree to jamboree. So that's why we have all these cultural events like the duck plucking, the fish filleting, the seal skinning, the bannock making, tea boiling. It's always been in our culture, so we try to keep it going through the jamboree weekend. I think it's important to feature them so that we pass them on to the younger generations and that they're kept alive and carried on throughout from year to year.
Right here.
Gotta be 18 and over. You girls sing a song.
Get one of its wings. Laverne. I'm gonna kick you. Hi. She started. You put on. Be nice. You can't see, okay?
Second and third.
He would let two leg finger out. First, second, and third. When it's finished, you make sure you plug it good. When it's finished, you lift it up. Okay? 1, 2, 3, go!
Aline, they're just tearing. Ayong napahimala. Damat ko na. Alikdok. Alikdok ko may nak. On the wrong side. Need tweezers. Shaver. I can't. Anybody brought meat?
Yeah. Where the neck? Hey, right to the head or to the neck?
Are you still some in your mouth?
You lost it? Okay.
How's it going, Laverne?
Not good.
Now they need us. Mary, you're done, you said.
Yeah.
Annie, Mary, and Judy.
I'm slow, look at. Yeah.
When we come back, more from the Kingalik Jamboree in Ulakaktuk. You're watching Swangan, Our Strength, right here on APTN. Welcome back to Swangan, Our Strength, and more from Ulakaktuk and the Kingalik Jamboree right here on APTN.
We try to get a mixture of all three, like the elders, the adults, and the youth. That's why we have some competitions where they have to have an elder, an adult, and a youth.
Hey, so what do we got here? I see some fish on the ground. What's down there?
Seals and ducks.
Oh, yeah? What kind of fish are those? Do you know what kind they are?
Char.
Ah. What are they going to do with those?
Hot dog.
Yeah? How do they do it? How do they do it?
You could watch and see.
Have you ever cleaned a seal before?
Yeah.
Really? Is it tough work?
Not really.
When the men skin it, the lady's gonna flush it. When the ladies finish flushing it, the kids are gonna wash it and then pin it down. Okay?
Yeah, I heard you did.
Right here. That's a good one. All your pins are all set?
These ones should move off the way.
You kids move off the way because they're gonna run over there and you're gonna get full of oil.
Get ready. Get set. Go.
Uutag me naar hem.
Uutag me mayon naksutan.
Really burn. Gebrang in de hoek. Here we go. This is real burn in the back.
Yeah.
Better take this with that when you are flushing it.
Honey, really keep up the seals. Really stick.
You guys get ready to move back because they're going to run through for washing the seals. Dan beginnen we hier naar de kamer.
Holy cow.
Lucas, move back, move back.
Kayang napiyak to.
Dan mag je op kamer. I'm not going to be playing it at all. I'm here. I'm here for it.
I can't cut through this because it's really hard.
You don't have to do that. You can't take it. Cool. The shear skin is real burnt from the sun. You know, that skin, it's real hard to clean out right now.
How do you get burned?
From the sun. From the sun. The guy saw it and then I put something over it. And yeah, it's burned, huh?
Come on.
Thank you.
Way to go,
Oh, waktu.
Come on, Mom. Almost done. China. Don't panic. Don't panic. Watch out. Watch your flashes, my girl.
You can do it.
All the skinners, I think they did pretty good. Very good. Had a good time. I come in first skinning, and flushing I think is third.
more on there.
What was the hardest part?
Eh?
What was the hardest part, you think?
I don't know. I know nothing about that because I done it all the time and you know, skinning seals all the time. I don't know what is the hard part to me. Okay.
When we come back, more from the Kinglake Jamboree in Ulakaktuk. You're watching Swangan, Our Strength, right here on APTN. Welcome back to Swangan, Our Strength, and more from Ulakaktuk and the Kinglake Jamboree right here on APTN.
Ready? 1, 2, 3, go!
Oh, geez. Come on, I got it. Give me the pot. Hurry up, it's wiggling. What you got? Gee, they're hard to see. Come up here.
This was Donald and Annie. Donald and Annie's got 5.
Me and Adele only got 4.
Okay, Gina and Adele 4.
I don't know why I never counted mine.
Some of them were so tiny they look like half.
Alice and Molly got 11.
One,
Dave.
wow. 32 for me and Sarah.
32.
32 for Sarah.
Stay over here, my girl. Look right here, baby girl.
Long drive is to get a golf ball and a golf club and see who can shoot the farthest.
How do you measure how far it goes?
Well, just look at the distance to see how far who goes the farthest.
Okay.
That's how in a well we'd measure it. I'd be happy if I passed the Ross. Native food is always delicious.
So how are you measuring those distances? Just by farther, farthest?
There's markers.
Oh, you got markers?
Yeah. Those are the markers.
All right. That's great.
My ribs. You ready to catch it, Larry? Let's go, G. Let's go.
ducks, but better luck to the hunters next year.
There are ducks right behind
Ducks
her.
are right.
They were smart.
Good eyes, Mona.
Well, that was our show for this week. We hope you enjoyed it. Here's one more tune from Jasper Andreessen and the Beaufort Sea Boys. Until next time, I'm your host, Dennis Allen. Kuyanak.
Good afternoon to everybody. Good afternoon and hello to everybody too.
They have to see and do before they really know. It really makes you appreciate your home, where you come home, where you come from.
I think we'd like to try to keep this place going for our kids and our grandchildren.
The past few years I've been focusing on the songs and our names and trying to talk about our families.
In the summertime, we always come down here to Shingle Point. We just started like maybe 4 or 5 years ago coming here. I just take a break from work and spend time. The most important, I think, is just spending time with my family. My son Jordan liked to come down here and fish and hunt. We started coming down with him, and then my brother Dave, we helped him build a house first, and then I decided to build a house here about 5 years ago too, and we enjoy doing that too, hunting, fishing, and picking the berries. Geez, it becomes like a little town during the Shingle Point games. Quite a few of them come down maybe I know sometimes I've seen it close to 200 people, I think, sometimes. 150 to 200 I've seen. Yeah, a lot of people come down just to visit. They stay with family or friends, or some of them just pitch a tent. And I know everybody that you come visit down here, they just welcome you into their home and, you know, just share whatever they have. And some of them still whale, and a lot of them come down to do their fishing for, they make herring, dry fish, and a lot of them come down to fish for char when the char is running, and some of them come down to get their whales too. It's just nice to be out here. You get good rest, good sleep, and spend time with family and friends. And I know when people need help, everybody comes to help each other, and it's just nice to be down here and spend time together with family and friends. I think if they're going to do oil and gas development, I think it's got to be pretty safe because, you know, a lot of people come down here and they get a lot of their food off the land, and so they have to be really careful, you know, of how they're drilling or how they're going to take the oil out, because, I mean, you know, one mistake could, you know, ruin this area for, you know, like for a lot of people's food they get off the land.
What is there that we need to protect forever in the Beaufort? In the Beaufort?
If like we will have oil spill,
Yeah.
and the oil gets all over, even on the shore.
Yeah.
That's going to be hard for the animals that's living on the land. And what is it going to do out there to our fish? We get our fish from the water, our seal, and our whale, and we're going to have nothing.
As someone who comes from the south, from one of the Canadian provinces, I think about what has been left to me by my ancestors. There are things that I value, you know, the values of modern society and, you know, justice and democracy. But that's a fairly common thing to protect that most citizens of the world have in common. The Inuvialuit people have that as well, but they have something much more precious, which is their own identity and what they represent and their responsibility towards the land and the understanding of what the land gives them back in exchange for that. So I'm overwhelmed by all I've seen, by what our team has seen. This is something you can only discover if you are here, and that's the purpose of being here physically and getting that and keeping that inside of us as we protect the land in our responsibilities as the energy watchdog for oil and gas development in the Beaufort Delta.
You're going to help me with that? It's good. Helpful. You can open that door right up there. Yeah. Good afternoon.
Hi, how are you doing?
Hi, Olive. Where are you?
Single.
Oh, how nice. Good morning. Good afternoon to everybody.
Good afternoon, and hello to everybody too.
Yeah. This morning, I think they never get to bed till about 5. They got well too late over.
Oh. Have a good day. Hello to everyone.
Yeah, you too. Have a good day. Take up for 7-11 Saturday.
Mereka hawalai cun wap tikuna wap tiktun habaga agar shumalai cuna.
We didn't know the job.
Yeah.
Then the hawalai cun ini that tenek kehani yune utikra menik habak chakra naga kaslegin liu lai chut. Nikikiraming tanik taina. Arain you type going in the land in your near the good. Tuvrak alone, sein about Pechinanik Piwa, the Piwa Bangma.
Never get.
3 o'clock this morning, Neil was on his way to Kendall. They came by here at 3 o'clock in the morning.
Ah, you were still up?
We were sleeping and somebody knocked, so I got up.
That's nice, Rita. Enjoy yourself.
Yeah, I just finished cutting fish.
I'm just going to go over and then go cut some maktak over.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Okay, Rita, I'll talk to you later after.
Okay, then, 833.
7. How you like the old woman who 83 years old working? Good, huh? Could still work when I'm sitting down. I like Gary Island so much. When we landed it, I praise the Lord. Good, huh? Happy to be here. That's good. Boy, good to have strong ladies around, right? Go over there and take their pictures over there. Hi.
They're not like you, they're shy, Emma.
I'm not shy. Never be shy. Ja, dan brug ik aanavond kanya habagtot dan na ili haraktugot.
Pigungit kitilyo at kitilyo ka naipektokrugit at tawtsikun habayoktot.
Ja. Na epekto da sa brain yung nalahin niya haraktugot din agaran.
When they're that young, then they cut the blubber. That's the first stages of. When they get a little older, and I know they could handle the ulu and the knife more carefully, or then I'll let them skin the dry, that dry skin. When the maktak sits out, the sun dries the top. You have to take that dry skin off first before you cut the blubber off. So if they get good at using the knife, then I promote them from cutting strips to skinning. Then when they get good at skinning, then I'll show them how to cut the blubber off the slabs. They go from stage to stage, but not just skipping the process of that preparation. There's all these steps to do. So that's the way I do with the grandkids. That way they're not just right to hear it. They don't know what's happening in here. That part of their culture's lost then, or their teaching is lost.
We used to go down all the time when we were growing up, from about the time I was a teenager. I don't know, it's like freedom, You get away from town, there's no stress of town or whatever. Especially when you're a kid, you get to play on the flats and all your cousins are down there.
Hey, so Ty, where are we?
Baby Island.
What happens here?
Whaling, swimming, baseball, visiting.
Kanawit bit Cassidy.
Nakurunga.
Kanawit bit Amber.
Nakurunga.
So how is the whaling camp to you guys? Is it like your home or something?
It's like my world.
Cassidy?
I've been there since I was 2 years old, and it's really nice, and it's a home. What do you bring for surviving out in the bush? A gun.
A gun.
Food, water, gas to run your boat. A boat? You bring a gun, you bring cleaning supplies, food, water. What? Huh? Kleenex. Baby Island is the funnest place to be. You can do anything you want, except you have to do your chores, and you can have like lots of fun there. You can walk around the beach. You can walk around the island. You can do anything you want to do there. But all you have to do is your chores. It's like the place to be. It's like my world.
How long does it take you guys to cut a whale?
Well, it takes 5 days because you need to cut it from the whale body. And then you need to let it dry for 1 day. And then you need to cut it in squares.
It's like soul food. You know, I mean, number one, it's good food. It's a traditional country food. But it's way more than that. It's like a connection to your identity, you know.
Mawahin. Nagsakatitakan niyo kami. Mani, ililuting ang unayakan kami. Mani, mirakot yung pinakaman na.
Sabara. Sabara. Nagsakawatan na inyo nero. Uhi kami. Mani nung namin ako nakot. Sabara ito kakalipan nga. Kaya luka kakamasbay kayo at siya kakanga.
Yeah.
Ili ako gulo ni. Haba at siya ako gulo ni. Nakuha kaya luka ka na kay.
Yeah.
Agalan mo ko ay kaya luka ning nalurut. Mokpornik tuyo lagarakan na kawanga. Paning mga yukunim. Pinago kaya luka kay hulay niya may go.
We're lucky that we can drink the water right out of the river. But it's clean and it's clear. But if you go down to Athabasca River or even some rivers in the Yukon, people don't drink out of the rivers because there might be mining activity upriver. But here we're pretty lucky that we can do that, you know. And I remember when we're out boating and you got a cup and you just dip it in the water, especially in the fall time when it's clear, water's clear. Oh boy, that's the best water, man. And then you make tea with the water too, and then you boil your food with it. All of that effluent from the tar sands and then all the stuff that's going on in the Liard River, and they had that big spill at a coal mine, and all those tiny little particles, they eventually make their way. They got to come right past our front doorstep, and then they go out into the ocean, and then gets into the food chain eventually. So that's another thing. People say, you know, water is sacred and stuff, but I don't know. You can't you throw that word around too much if you don't really have a connection to it.
I think this water is very important to our people, the Inuvialuit, because this water contains not only some good drinking water, good fresh drinking water, but this water also is the home of the beluga whale. This water is also, you know, that's where we get a lot of fish out of here.
And water, you know, I heard a lot of statements in the past about water. You know, it's, you take that out of your system, then you have nothing. Like today, look, we're buying water bottle. Why? You know, why? We can't drink the water in our lakes and our rivers. What about the animals that we eat? You contaminate the water, it goes into the food chain. We're part of that food chain, and we have to be careful. So it's just another eye-opener for us to continue to protect it.
To say that people change, people are always going to change. Cultures, the culture changes as you move along. There are a lot of people here that are still very traditional, but they work and they participate. But what has to be recognized that, particularly among the Inuvialuit society, they've been involved with the whaling days that were in the early 1900s. And then, there were a lot of changes in their life over a short period of time. The religious factors, the Dew-line situation where there was a lot of activity, and then the building of the town of Inuvik. So over a period of time, there were always, every 10 years, there was something that caused changes or people to adjust or adapt to trying to get the most out of the new opportunities more than anything else.
I feel that the Inuvialuit people have complete awareness of their ongoing challenge to protect their identity as a people, their language, their ways of life, the land that surrounds them and that they take care of, and what a sustainable future means for them, and the difficult choices they have to make sometimes between the land and developing an economy that works for them. So I'm here feeling the utmost respect for what they're doing, what they see, what they want to see happen. I also now realize how much they care for each other and the basic notion of sharing. When they harvest a beluga, we heard the stories time and time again. They harvest it with respect. They use every possible part of the whale. And there's always too much for one family. They share with others who either cannot go whaling or cannot afford to go whaling, or their health doesn't allow them to benefit from what the land offers to them. And the notion of gathering is something that I come back with a strong sense of understanding and connection with. I am also envious of the Inuvialuit people because they have something very specific to protect, something that they've kept from time immemorial, which is their ways of life and their connection to the land.
We're moving so at a fast pace today, we forget about the important issues that are within our land claims. Everybody has a responsibility. We're all governed to do certain parts. And the community corps has the responsibility. The HTCs have a responsibility, and the elected members that represent the whole Inuvialuit settlement region. And we have to come together and ensure that we're covering all the bases, not just piece of the pie is going to be thing. So it's hard, I've been there, and sometimes the decisions that are made, I'm not satisfied because I have my own issues, and my own issues would reflect on who I am as a human being and as an Aboriginal person. Sure, I'd love to continue my traditional way of life as going out there hunting and trapping and living off the land. The next generation may not have that, but we still all have a responsibility as an individual or as an elected member to ensure that we understand everybody out there, big or small, educated or non-educated, that the land and the resources are going to be there. Not everybody's going to continue the traditional lifestyle as fishing and trapping and whaling and stuff like that. But those who want to continue it, we should be proud of them and help them to continue that. Are we ready for development? Yes, we are, in the right way. And I think if we do it the right way now, it'll be there for tomorrow's generation.
Good afternoon to everybody.
Good afternoon, and hello to everybody too.
They have to see and do before they really know. It really makes you appreciate your home, where you come home, where you come from.
I think we'd like to try to keep this place going for our kids and our grandchildren.
The past few years I've been focusing on the songs and our names and trying to, talk about our families.
In the summertime, we always come down here to Shingle Point. We just started like maybe 4 or 5 years ago coming here. I just take a break from work and spend time. The most important, I think, is just spending time with my family. My son Jordan liked to come down here and fish and hunt. We started coming down with him, and then my brother Dave, we helped him build a house first, and then I decided to build a house here about 5 years ago too, and we enjoy doing that too, hunting, fishing, and picking the berries. Geez, it becomes like a little town during the Shingle Point games. Quite a few of them come down, maybe, I don't know, sometimes I've seen it close to 200 people, I think, sometimes. 150 to 200 I've seen. Yeah, a lot of people come down just to visit. They stay with family or friends, or some of them just pitch a tent. And I know everybody that you come visit down here, they just welcome you into their home and, just share whatever they have. And some of them still whale, and a lot of them come down to do their fishing for, they make herring, dry fish, and a lot of them come down to fish for char when the char is running, and some of them come down to get their whales too. It's just nice to be out here. You get good rest, good sleep, and spend time with family and friends. And I know when people need help, everybody comes to help each other, and it's just nice to be down here and spend time together with family and friends. I think if they're going to do oil and gas development, I think it's got to be pretty safe, because a lot of people come down here and they get a lot of their food off the land, and so they have to be really careful, of how they're drilling or how they're going to take the oil out, because one mistake could ruin this area for for a lot of people's food they get off the land.
What is there that we need to protect forever in the Beaufort? It's like we will have oil spills, and the oil gets all over, even on the shore. Yeah. That's going to be hard for the animals that's living on the land. And what is it going to do out there to our fish? We get our fish from the water, our seal, and our whale, and we're going to have nothing.
As someone who comes from the south, from one of the Canadian provinces, I think about what has been left to me by my ancestors. There are things that I value, the values of modern society and justice and democracy. But that's a fairly common thing to protect that most citizens of the world have in common. The Inuvialuit people have that as well, but they have something much more precious, which is their own identity and what they represent and their responsibility towards the land and the understanding of what the land gives them back in exchange for that. So I'm overwhelmed by all I've seen, by what our team has seen. This is something you can only discover if you are here, and that's the purpose of being here physically and getting that and keeping that inside of us as we protect the land in our responsibilities as the energy watchdog for oil and gas development in the Beaufort Delta.
You're going to help me with that? It's good. Helpful. You can open that door right up there. Yeah. Good afternoon.
Hi, how are you doing?
Hi, Olive. Where are you?
Single.
Oh, how nice. Good morning. Good afternoon to everybody.
Good afternoon, and hello to everybody, too.
Yeah. This morning, I think they never get to bed till about 5. They got well too late, over.
Oh. Have a good day. Hello to everyone.
Yeah, you too. Have a good day. Take up for 7-Eleven Saturday.
Mereka hawalai curu aptikuna, aptiktun. Hawaga shumalai cuda.
We didn't know the job.
Yeah.
Then the hawalai curu ni that tenek kehani ni ne utikra menik hawak chakra nakakas legi liu lai cut. Nekhiraming nik tanik taina. Arrange type going in the land in you near the good to brack a low sign about Pechanic people left the good bangma.
Never care.
3 o'clock this morning, Neil was on his way to Kenlock. They came by here at 3 o'clock in the morning.
Ah, you were still up?
We were sleeping and somebody knocked, so I got up.
That's nice, Rita. Enjoy yourself.
Yeah, just finished cutting fish.
I'm just going to go over and then go cut some laptek over.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Okay, Rita, I'll talk to you later after.
Okay, then, 833.
7. How you like the old woman who 83 years old working? Good, huh? Could still work when I'm sitting down. I like Gary Island so much. When we landed it, I praise the Lord. Good, huh? Happy to be here. That's good. Boy, could you have strong ladies around, right? Go over there and take their pictures over there. Hi.
They're not like you, they're shy, Emma.
I'm not shy. Never be shy. Ya jombraki anavut kanya habaktot tanay di hakaktugot.
Pigungit kitilyo at kitilyo ka naipekto kurugit at tawtsukun habayoktot.
Ya, naipekto ko na sa brain yung nalahin niya hakaktugot din nga.
When they're that young, then they cut the blubber. That's the first stages of it. When they get a little older, and I know they could handle the ulu and the knife more carefully, or then I'll let them skin, the dry, that dry skin. When the maktak sits out, the sun dries the top. You have to take that dry skin off first before you cut the blubber off. So if they get good at using the knife, then I promote them from cutting strips to skinning. Then when they get good at skinning, then I'll show them how to cut the blubber off the slabs. They go from stage to stage, and not just skipping the process of that preparation. There's all these steps to do. So that's the way I do with the grandkids. That way they're not just right to hear it. They don't know what's happening in here. That part of their culture's lost then, or their teaching is lost.
We used to go down all the time when we were growing up. From about the time I was a teenager. I don't know, it's like freedom, You get away from town, there's no stress of town or whatever. Especially when you're a kid, you get to play on the flats and all your cousins are down there.
Hey, so Ty, where are we?
Baby Island.
What happens here?
Whaling, swimming, baseball, visiting.
Kanuit bit, Cassidy.
Nakurunga.
Kanuit bit, Amber.
Nakurunga.
So how is the whaling camp to you guys? Is it like your home or something?
It's like my world.
Cassidy?
I've been there since I was 2 years old, and it's really nice, and it's a home. What do you bring for surviving out in the bush?
A gun.
A gun.
Food, water,
Gas. To run your boat.
A boat?
You bring a gun. You bring cleaning supplies, food, water. What? Huh? Kleenex. Baby Island is the funnest place to be. You can do anything you want, except you have to do your chores, and you can have like lots of fun there. You can walk around the beach. You can walk around the island. You can do anything you want to do there. But all you have to do is your chores. It's like the place to be. It's like my world.
How long does it take you guys to cut a whale?
Well, it takes 5 days because you need to cut it from the whale body. And then you need to let it dry for 1 day. And then you need to cut it in squares.
It's like soul food. Number one, it's good food. It's a traditional country food. But there's way more than that. It's like a connection to your identity,
Mawahin. Nagkakatita kayo kami. Mani, luting ang ulihan kami. Mani, mirakot ito pinaaman na.
Tabra. Tabra. Nagkakawasal na inyo nero. Uhi kami. Mani nung namin ako nakot. Tabra ito kakalipan nga. Kaya luka kakamasbay kayo at siya kakanga. Ili ako gulo ni. Haba at siya ako gulo ni. Nakuha kaya luka ka na kay. Agalan mo ko ay kaya luka ni nalurut. Makpornik tuyo lagarakan nakawa nga. Paning mga yukunin. Pinago kaya luka kay hulay niya migo.
we're lucky that we can drink the water like right out of the river. But it's clean and it's clear. But if you go down to Athabasca River or even some rivers in the Yukon, people don't drink out of the rivers because there might be mining activity upriver. But here we're pretty lucky that we can do that, you know. And I remember when we're out boating and you got a cup and you just dip it in the water, especially in the fall time when it's clear, water's clear. Oh boy, that's the best water, man. And then you make tea with the water too, and then you boil your food with it. All of that effluent from the tar sands and then all the stuff that's going on in the Liard River, and they had that big spill at a coal mine, and all those tiny little particles, they eventually make their way. They got to come right past our front doorstep, and then they go out into the ocean, and then gets into the food chain eventually. So that's another thing. People say, you know, water is sacred and stuff, but I don't know. You can't you throw that word around too much if you don't really have a connection to it.
I think this water is very important to our people, the Inuvialuit, because this water contains not only some good drinking water, good fresh drinking water, but this water also is the home of the beluga whale. This water is also, you know, that's where we get a lot of fish out of here.
And water, you know, I heard a lot of statements in the past about water. You know, it's, you take that out of your system, then you have nothing. Like today, look, we're buying water bottle. Why? You know, why? We can't drink the water in our lakes and our rivers. What about the animals that we eat? You contaminate the water, it goes into the food chain. We're part of that food chain, and we have to be careful. So it's just another eye-opener for us to continue to protect it.
To say that people change, people are always going to change. Cultures, you know, the culture changes as you move along. There are a lot of people here that are still very traditional, but they work and they participate. But, you know, what has to be recognized that, you know, particularly among the Inuvialuit society, you know, they've been involved with the whaling days that were in the early 1900s. And then, you know, there were a lot of changes in their life over a short period of time. The religious factors, the Dew Line situation where there was a lot of activity, and then the building of the town of Inuvik. So over a period of time, there were always, every 10 years, there was something that caused changes or people to adjust or adapt to trying to get the most out of the new opportunities more than anything else.
I feel that the Inuvialuit people have complete awareness of their ongoing challenge to protect their identity as a people, their language, their ways of life, the land that surrounds them and that they take care of, and what a sustainable future means for them, and the difficult choices they have to make sometimes between the land and developing an economy that works for them. So I'm here feeling the utmost respect for what they're doing, what they see, what they want to see happen. I also now realize how much they care for each other and the basic notion of sharing. When they harvest a beluga, we heard the stories time and time again. They harvest it with respect. They use every possible part of the whale. And there's always too much for one family. They share with others who either cannot go whaling or cannot afford to go whaling, or their health doesn't allow them to benefit from what the land offers to them. And the notion of gathering is something that I come back with a strong sense of understanding and connection with. I am also envious of the Inuvialuit people, because they have something very specific to protect, something that they've kept from time immemorial, which is their ways of life and their connection to the land.
You know, we're moving so at a fast pace today, we forget about the important issues that are within our land claims. You know, everybody has a responsibility. You know, we're all governed to do certain parts. You know, and the community corps has the responsibility. The HTCs have a responsibility, and you know, the elected members that represent the whole Inuvialuit settlement region. You know, and we have to come together and ensure that we're covering all the bases, not just piece of the pie is going to be thing. So it's hard, you know. I've been there, and sometimes the decisions that are made, I'm not satisfied because I have my own issues, and my own issues would reflect on who I am as a human being and as an Aboriginal person. Sure, I'd love to continue my traditional way of life as going out there hunting and trapping and, you know, living off the land. The next generation may not have that, but we still all have a responsibility as you know, as an individual or as an elected member to ensure that we understand everybody out there, you know, big or small, educated or non-educated, that the land and the resources are going to be there. You know, not everybody's going to continue the traditional lifestyle of, you know, fishing and trapping and whaling and stuff like that. But those who want to continue it, we should be proud of them and help them to continue that. Are we ready for development? Yes, we are, in the right way. And I think if we do it the right way now, it'll be there for tomorrow's generation.
It was such a good feeling when you're out there. You know, the way Inuvialuit used to live long ago with nobody around, just enjoying the environment, enjoying the land. A lot of trappers like myself that had traps out, they got run over, you know, and your livelihood depended on the trap itself and maybe the fur that's going to be caught in it. So.
Where we are, we're rich in food-wise, like from the land. We could go out there and go jiggle in a creek to get fresh fish, to bring it home and eat. And we could go up on the hills up here, and you could hunt caribou up here. And you could go down about 3 hours drive to the ocean. There's where there's people go whaling.
Prior to government involvement, we very traditional lifestyle. Everyone harvested for their living and harvest for food and to make some income from the fur industry.
For centuries, life changed very little on the northern edge of the world. The Inuvialuit of the Western Arctic were survivors. Living nomadic lives, they followed the animals and the changing of the seasons to hunt wildlife and provide for their families. There were no watches and no clocks in this part of the world, only seasons. After long and cold winters, the sun begins to return to the skyline. Winter warms into beautiful summers in the Arctic. The melting and breaking of the ice gives life to the sea creatures that lay mostly hidden for much of the year. The nomadic Inuvialuit will begin what would have been a very busy harvesting season.
At that time we were living in as a nomadic people, and we were living out on the land, out on the sea, and that's how we were making our living.
Harvesting of the beluga and the bowhead whales is a staple in the traditional Inuvialuit diet.
During those years, it was never like, to me, we were, even though we didn't have much, we were happy, we were well off. I think they were more satisfied with whatever they had. And they shared a lot, they shared whatever they felt they needed to give. And people were really ready to prepare their country food, cut it up and bring it, pass it around.
The old days, we don't have those conveniences at home, but we were happy. There was no worries. There was no bills to pay. You could go anywhere and be at home. You could travel 30 miles out of the main community and still feel at home. And you don't worry about getting kicked out of your rental house. Wherever you go, it's your own. So we had our own dog team. Dog team don't break down, they don't run out of gas.
Short summers can seem a little longer in the 24-hour daylight of the Arctic. Even as the sun begins to dip below the horizon again and the summer becomes fall, the hard work of harvesting does not rest throughout the winter.
Long ago, they prepared for the winter. Not like today, we could go to the store and just get whatever one. Long ago, they had to get everything ready for the winter.
When I go out, like for instance, in the middle of October, just before freeze up, to do some hunting for my dogs before trapping season starts, so that I don't have to haul food around. I just cast them, hunt seals, bring them in the beach, cast them wherever I'm going to be camping, different nights, traveling with dogs.
Harvesting everything from the caribou, fox, muskox and whales, to ice fishing with baleen-made fish nets, the traditional Inuvialuit nomadic life of hunting and fishing, followed by preparation and preservation of food, was a very busy and hard-working lifestyle. This life also required many different skill sets.
They must be pretty smart. They must be scientists. There must be geologists. Not geologists, but maybe people that do research on wildlife, and so they must do a lot of studies in their own way. And so that's how come they could be able to hunt seal, and they could look for animals that even though they can't see them, they could get them through other means of finding them, such as sniffing dog, and also looking for a seal hole in terms of where there's some little bit of rough ice, and they develop a technique that nowhere else in the world had been used, such as an igloo. And to top it off, it's a fireproof.
Along with a great sense of humor and dedication to life, the Inuvialuit land, too, is full of riches. The potential natural resources in the Arctic are seemingly endless, and this was and is attractive to people other than the Inuvialuit. In just a few years, the Inuvialuit way of life would be turned upside down, never to be the same again. With the explosion of the whaling industry in the region, the landscape evolved largely, with people hunting less for food and more for trading. Settlements were established to trade goods and service. This new industry and the Inuvialuit were evolving from nomadic harvesters to be more reliant on the industries of trade.
At that time, but probably a couple of years earlier than that, I came here to do hunting seals, and because at that time they used to do a lot of hunt seals, and I was supposed to go back by next year.
At the turn of the century, the whaling industry was beginning to collapse. After a few long years of foreign sailors decimating the whale population for whale baleen and introducing new diseases to the newly settled Inuvialuit communities, the industry was dying out. The Inuvialuit would continue earning a living with hunting to trade furs. For many years, white fox was one of the region's biggest exports. As late as the 1950s, many Inuvialuit were still living their nomadic lifestyle. The government at different levels wanted to have more influence and control in the Arctic, and as such built the so-called Arctic Model Community of Inuvik by trying to move the residents of Aklavik across the Mackenzie Delta to the newly constructed town site.
At the time, it were pacing in a fast pace, like from out on the land. Then a lot of people used to be out on the land. Then we all moved in.
For years now, the Inuvialuit have experienced outside and foreign pressure to immerse themselves in a new culture and way of life. It was one thing to be forced to adapt to these new lifestyles. It was another to be completely ignored and pushed aside.
If you look after the land in turn will always give you something back. So.
You know, the oil and gas industry was there. When government was making decisions, certain areas were being alienated, which said that those lands are now, or those resources are pledged to a oil and gas company.
They were worried about what would happen if the oil companies came. What would happen with the animals? For instance, our caribou. Our caribou is our main food here. We're not like in the down south where you could just go to the store and buy whatever you want.
When we were nomadic people, there was hardly any communications. There wasn't very much. And the only thing that we could be able to hear on radio was the AM radio on Skip, like Edmonton or Dawson City or somewhere like that.
In other national news, the Trans-Canada Highway.
Later on, when we came here and moved here, that we became aware that there are things that are happening in our world.
And at the time, there was a lot of oil and gas activity going on. Imperial Oil were given rights to drill for oil in our Inuvialuit land in this area here, in Tuk HTC area. And you're traveling on a trap line. You start, and starting in November, middle of November, you start seeing rigs coming, roads being built and rigs being put up, and you see all this going up right in front of you, basically. And that got me concerned because they were impacting on, on a lot of trappers like myself.
As far as development taking place, well, there was no regard to who owned the land, what kind of concerns we had over wildlife. They were, I recall a seismic program that was taking place in Sachs Harbor, that the seismic wires that they were using for geophones and stuff like that were entangled in the horns of the caribou. You know, that's gone a little too far there. And there was blasting in the lakes and waters using dynamite, and that was destroying some of the habitat and the fish. So all those things were happening at a pace where it was too much.
When the mining started coming, we started seeing big planes coming in. They make a landing strip in Kings Bay, DC-6, DC-4s, DC-3s. All the big planes were coming in, and it was the Muskog mines and Grand Roy mines were starting up at that time, and I guess they would find a lot of interest just north of us here, and so they were starting to work, and we were wondering how come these people are coming in. So at that time we found out that there were mining companies. We had no voice, we never hear anything about them, and yet they did everything that they want. And then when they finished their work, well, probably they never quite finished, but when they quit, they had left everything out on the land in their camps, such as fuel oil, lube oil, a lot of old materials such as automobiles and stuff like that.
Government, the federal and territorial were ignoring, Nuvelle. They weren't, they didn't see our participation. There was no room at their table for us to be part of that process.
Who's looking after my interest? And also who's looking after the other trappers that are being impacted the same way I was?
There was very little regard for the environment when they were out there and doing the actual work. I have first-hand experience in that, and that's been a pattern for a long, long time. Oil and gas people coming up here and doing whatever they wanted to do without the involvement of the local people or the Inuvialuit in my case.
It was just really an erosion over time of people being bypassed and not being dealt with, not having input on what were the proper programs, what would work for the Inuvialuit and what wouldn't work.
The Inuvialuit had been living on these lands and providing for their families in this region for centuries. With the government and private sector, interest now focused on their lands. The Inuvialuit had begun to feel the effects.
Oil and gas went ahead in this region. Of course, it provided employment and stuff like that, but it didn't provide the involvement of the people that lived here. It lacked that. That part was missing.
By the 1960s, residents all across the Arctic were beginning to feel the need to have an increased role and to have an actual voice when it came to issues involving their people and the land they call home.
The thing that they really want is just protecting the land, not to give up the land. The land is ours. Money is nothing. The money, we'll have it for a little while, but it'll be gone.
By the early 70s, the pressures had been felt in every community, and people were reaching their limits and wanted a united voice to speak on their behalf. In a small meeting in Inuvik on January 28, 1970, 19 people voted to form the Committee of Original Peoples Entitlement. There were many issues in the region that the new committee would have to focus its attention on. Industry was booming, and the biggest side effects to the local communities were not the wealth the projects were creating, but the effects on wildlife, land, and the social problems being left behind.
These people are talking about the wildlife, they're talking about people's rights, they're talking about the Inuvialuit people in the area, and they were talking about government, they were talking about oil and gas people, they were talking about just pretty well everything that people needed to, to deal with.
So we had to work fast because things were happening. We didn't have, say, 20, 30, or 40 years because there would be nothing left to get economic benefits for Inuvialuit. So we had to be sure that we did our job as quickly as possible, but in a favorable way for people to have an understanding.
The 19 founding members of the Committee for Original Peoples Entitlement had their work cut out for them, work that would span over great territorial distances to all of the remote communities.
We had to rely on people who were totally dedicated and wanting to do it, and seeing a need for the Aboriginal face to be recognized, whether it's treaty or whether it was Inuit in the Eastern Arctic or whether it was Métis. People were, I think, becoming very political about, just how strong a voice they had.
The ideals for COPE were being formed, but the message needed support.
How do we get involvement of the people in the community and elsewhere? What approach do we take? How do we get our messages across that, there are people that wants to, go in a way where things that they're living with can be improved.
The crew from the COPE was traveling to the communities, and Sam Raddy, Mark Nuxan, and I believe it was Peter Green that came into my house, and they were talking to me about the land claim, what was happening. And I started asking questions, and later on, towards the end of the day, the interview with me, they asked me if I was interested in working with them.
We were building a claim, and we had to be sure that we reached every family and as broad an age group as we could.
When they asked me to be a negotiator, I decided to take advantage of that. And I went with the attitude that if I, as a hunter and a trapper, with all the industrial activity going on in a wage economy, that if I could live with an agreement, that will satisfy me in preserving the environment and the wildlife, I took the attitude that if I could live with an agreement, they probably could live with it too.
There was a lot of public meetings, there was a lot of radio programs on it, but from the beginning we knew that in order to get the understanding and the input that we required, because in the end we had to vote on an end product, and it was not fair for people not to know enough to be able to vote in an educated way about something that affects their lives forever.
Okay, this is the last settlement, okay?
The message of COPE was being heard, and a large majority of the Inuvialuit, through voting, supported the actions and priorities that the workers of COPE represented. But the negotiations would need more than just unified local support.
The Yukon government was running campaigns against COPE, and the territorial government certainly was not in support of a claim. The treaty people were not in support of us a claim because they didn't want us to set a precedent in case they wanted to do more with their treaty rights. And the federal government wasn't a real friend of ours either, so.
To put the entire Yukon coastline under the control of COPE in respect to future development. We remain adamantly opposed to it, and by we, I mean Yukoners, both native and non-native.
I think, sometimes when you're trying to make a change, when you're trying to bring change, to present change, you come into conflict sometimes. You know, your own ideas or their people's ideas. You know, you've got to come to a agreement somewhere.
We started off with the land use and occupancy study as a basis to move the claim forward to the whole process, the question of land claims, the question of land rights, the question of ownership, the question of everything.
You know, how the environment is, how the land is going to be used, how we're going to have safety net for areas of inevaluate history, the land hunting areas.
COPE employed field workers in each community in the region to go to each house to explain the work COPE was trying to accomplish and to gather information about land use and community needs and expectations.
Whatever the office in Inuvik sent us, the news, we had to go house to house and explain it in our language to try to get them across what does the land claim about, why they're trying to get their land claim, and ask them questions. What is the place that you, what's up some places that where your cabin used to be. They went around with maps and everything. They just went to the elders and asked about how they lived long ago.
It was on the basis of land use that we moved forward.
The Inuvialuit worked on a proposal that would include the Eastern Arctic and what is now Nunavut. But after a few months, it became clear that the combined agreement would have some delays. Industry in the Western Arctic was full steam ahead, and a regionalized claim was needed to represent the Inuvialuit before it was too late.
The Inuit in the Eastern Arctic withdrew their proposal, and there was too many things happening here in the Western Arctic.
This was a land rights deal. It was basically a land rights deal, and when you're dealing with the land, you're dealing with the environment, you're dealing with the critical habitat areas of wildlife, you're dealing with the wildlife itself.
The next stage was to develop the agreement and the proposal. The proposal was called the Inuvialuit Nunangat. It was a document that was put together by all of the 6 Inuvialuit communities.
There were 3 areas around which this negotiation took place. One was land, the second was wildlife harvesting, and the third was participation in the institutions that are going to manage wildlife.
Inuvialuit, well, we didn't have an agreement yet, so we worked pretty hard. We worked practically some days, day and night to get some work done.
Sometimes we go out for a week, sometimes for 2 weeks, sometimes for the most 3 months, at one time in Ottawa. And at that time it was borrowed money, and COPE was borrowing funds against the claim to negotiate the claim, so the wages weren't that up to par.
To get that into the bureaucracy and into the mindset of the territories or provincial governments, it took a long time, so we had to fight our way all the way through. This is not an easy, was absolutely not easy for anyone.
When the negotiators went to Ottawa in those years, they stayed months at a time. It was fun for them, but at the same time it was really, especially in this time of the year, when they're out hunting, everybody's out hunting at home, and they're down there negotiating, and we have a lot to thank those people for, and a lot of them are not here anymore.
It's pretty hard to just leave a trap line and then go out on a trip. You don't know how long you're going to be out there. And then you come back, and the next day you're out on land again. So I think that was the hardest part, was leaving, the thing that you love doing.
You know, we had to show the government and say that, look at this here. This is where we have been hunting and we have been living there. This is what we want, and we're not going to come with less. And then if you're going to give us less, we're going to test our Aboriginal rights in court.
The government's attitude was they can look after all Native people. We don't need a claim. That we're going to blow it if we ever get any kind of monetary compensation, and we don't know nothing about corporations, land administration. So, I mean, that was a challenge. I mean, that alone just put a fire in your heart to prove them wrong.
So I don't think it's going to change anything, because it's everybody's looked after. It's just that the Inuvialuit themselves will have a little more say on their own land.
So we proceeded on that basis. We chose not to go to court to settle the question of Inuvialuit claim. We know that it was going to be a long, drawn-out process, many years, but millions of dollars involved, which we didn't have.
The years after the formation of COPE from 1970 onward were very busy, not only in the region, but all over the north. Government had invited applicants for the Canadian Arctic gas pipeline proposal. Inuit Tapariksat of Canada was formed, written the claim, submitted it, and withdrew 4 months later. All the while, the concept of offshore drilling was approved. By 1978, COPE signed the Agreement in Principle with the federal government. This AIP set forth interim land and hunting provisions and advanced settlement payments.
You know, all of these different parts of IFA claim started to happen. You know, although we have agreed to the principles itself, the government find a lot of excuses and saying that, we can't do this and we can't do that. A lot of the time our negotiations break down until we come up with some compromises and stuff like that.
Issues began arising from the overlap of traditional land use between different Aboriginal groups. The new Conservative government refused to negotiate and had wanted to change provisions within the Agreement in Principle. COPE viewed these changes as a lack of credibility within the government. In 1982, Simon Reisman was appointed the new chief negotiator and promised a final agreement within 6 months.
That is the reason why it took so long, for 6 years before the final agreement from the Agreement in Principle, and because it was very difficult to negotiate all those things that we wanted.
On behalf of the people of Tuktoyaktuk and the Western Arctic region and our friends who have come here from areas right close to our region, that we are important. And it may be a frontier land, but we are important because we hold something very precious and dear.
Finally, after 14 long years of volunteer grassroots organization, community outreach, federal negotiations and loans from neighboring Aboriginal groups in the coastal community of Tuktoyaktuk, on June 5, 1984, the Inuvialuit Final Agreement was signed.
So with all the people who took part, and I don't know how and how long we could mention everybody, because from the smallest people in Tuk and all the communities to the oldest people, we still have a lot of work to do. But in all the controversy and in all the ways that we try to resolve our differences and make things the way we feel we could move, I don't believe there is one person that did not participate.
You've really achieved something great for the North, and you've achieved something absolutely tremendous for all of Canada.
He was a mother of our culture at that time, because they were looking after everything so that we can be able to start making investments in terms of development that's taking place in our area, in Beaufort, and also on the land near Inuvik and Aklavik.
It came to the point where while I'm trapping out in the bush in the trap line, I could see a plane circling, following my trail, finding me, landing in a lake. I'm going to it. And it was the office wanting me to go back to the office for so many days because they had somebody interested in talking to IDC chairman.
Included in the final agreement was a settlement amount of $152 million paid over the course of 5 years for the setup, administration, and future investments of the corporate group.
When IDC got this money, finally the door opened and the Inuvialuit were able to go out there and take part in what's going on. So just the opportunities was there.
You look at the kind of businesses that are run by Inuvialuit-owned businesses. We're doing very well because it's not only the corporate group, but through the claim, the preferences that are given to Inuvialuit companies in our region gives them an opportunity to grow too.
With a regional corporation, there are different organizations that adhere to the varying sections of the final agreement. The Inuvialuit Game Council, in cooperation with the Community Hunters and Trappers Association, along with the Joint Secretariat Office, Wildlife Management Advisory Council, partner with other government organizations to monitor, assess, and protect the wildlife, lands, and waters within the Inuvialuit settlement region. Through the Development Corporation, investments have been made in many companies that operate in and out of the settlement region.
Some things are valuable and they make money, and these are also services that people require, airline services that people required, shipping services that people use. So these are things that it made sense for the corporate group to get involved with because it was services to Inuvialuit.
The corporate group became shareholders in businesses such as Canadian North, the airline company that serves 37 communities throughout the north, and NTCL, or Northern Transportation Company Limited, which has delivered goods to remote communities in the north since the 1950s. 2009 was also the 75th anniversary of the much relied on company. Other business investments have been made in other industries in the ISR, such as energy, construction, and service. While the corporation now has an estimated value of nearly $400 million, it isn't always about bottom lines. There are many community organizations and programs that get their funding through the regional corporation, or the IRC would help organize government funding.
Claim is not only about the economics, but the social well-being of the Inuvialuit.
It's beneficial because we need to develop a capacity in our region. We need to develop economic opportunities, and we need to help people with addictions, wellness issues, family wellness issues, preventative health issues. So they're able to respond, and they're able to, participate with the goals of the Inuvialuit Final Agreement.
One such program is run through the Aboriginal Healing Foundation. The program offers support services and runs workshops to help community members deal with mental health issues and issues faced by former residential school students.
General focus is try to help the elders to be stronger, feeling better about themselves, equipping them with tools that we need to be a better service to their communities, to the people in their communities.
And I wanted to show you this because I don't know how to express it on something like that. All my hurt, all my hate, I kept it to myself. I couldn't find the strength to get rid of it. But now, through this workshop, I know how to deal with it.
we are progressing, that our funding is geared towards Inuvialuit, so it feels really good to see people succeed.
The Community Development Division also has individuals available to help facilitate local economic opportunities in each of the communities in the ISR. One such program is the muskox harvest in Sax Harbor.
Self-sustaining economic opportunity for the community. So Sax Harbor has a lot of muskox. Let's do something with the muskox in Sax Harbor. You know, it's the largest herd in the Northwest Territories in Canada. Let's do something with that. So we're just looking at each community and working with government, partnering with government to see how we could respond to each community.
Another department in the corporate group is the Inuvialuit Education Fund. IEF provides funding for beneficiaries looking to further their education and careers.
You have to meet criteria. You have to be in a diploma or a degree program, have a 70% or better average in your last academic year. And if you're from the Northwest Territories, you receive an extra $500 a month. If you're not from the Northwest Territories, but you are an Inuvialuit beneficiary, you can receive an extra $200 a month. We also have 20 scholarships that range from $1,000 to $5,000.
IEF also partners with other departments within the corporate group and outside federal agencies and companies to organize career fairs in each of the communities to showcase education and career options to Inuvialuit youth.
I do visits to communities in the springtime, February, March, April, and I help them fill out all applications for student financial assistance for college, university, and for IEF.
Well, my job is as a police officer, I can do all kinds of different things.
We want beneficiaries to be educated and to be a part of the NWT or Canadian provinces, working at the same level, receiving same benefits, same salary.
It's so important for people to have a good education, so in turn they can run. Like Inuvialuit should be getting the education that's required. And it's got to be a good education, because we're handling the future of the Inuvialuit, the investments of the Inuvialuit.
You get one.
June 5th, 2009 was the 25th anniversary of the Inuvialuit Final Agreement, the deal that has shaped, provided for, and protected the Western Arctic, the people, and the land. Each community was afforded an opportunity to hold their own celebrations over the course of the summer to commemorate the historic accomplishment.
On reflection of the negotiations, you know, there are so many people that participated, and so many people who are interested to participate and be interviewed, and also to give us the direction, their thoughts on what should be in a land claim agreement. Much of what's in the Inuvialuit Final Agreement are things that were important and reflections that they had for the future of people.
The people in our communities could look after the land the way that they wanted. Oil companies just can't go out here and just drill whenever they want to. They have to go through a Clavik Community Corporation and hunters and trappers.
2, 3, go! Holy smokes, Eddie, I didn't know you had tonsils.
So the claim was settled 25 years ago, but that doesn't mean that it was a book to put on the shelf, but it was a final agreement for everyone to continue to use, continue to utilize, and continue to refer to, particular if you feel your voices are not heard.
Now I see all kinds of progress that was being made and being implemented and being done that I never saw in the early years of my time.
If you want to take one of these are seedless, the diamond, and
The creation of cotton. It's an art, mastered over a couple of minutes. Do it for hours.
When I think about it, I really appreciate that, we have organizations such as COPE and at that time, and nowadays that we have IRC and Game Council and all the other organizations that help us to manage our land and our wildlife.
Today I feel pretty good being part of the IFA process. Feels good.
Yeah, for sure.
It's something that I see, we're over 3,000 strong as Inuvialuit, that we've made history in many areas. Our business groups, business organizations that we've had with IRC, IDC, we're on the map.
It was a great day and great feeling for me to know that we finally had it. We have the agreement, final agreement that they could protect the interest of all the Inuvialuit, right from harvesters all the way to business opportunities, training programs, and that for the youth that were starting to develop and seeking respectable jobs within the organizations that were being set up.